Good morning, and thank you for tuning in to 99.1 Shop Radio. This is also the Keegan Stewart Sports Podcast. Happy to be with you for the second edition of this sports podcast. Episode 2. Had a great time last week with Stacy and Cal Corley. But today, we have another guest in the studio with us. We have Mr. Rhett Richie. Rhett is the youth minister at Green Lawn Church of Christ, a longtime friend of mine. Went to school here at LCU, still around in Lubbock, so he's on the show. Welcome, Rhett.
Hey, good morning, Keegan. I'm so glad you had me on this morning.
Hey, man, you're always welcome here. We've done a radio show. We did it a couple of years ago for a good season there, sports show with our buddy Tucker Brown. That was a good time. But listen, this show is a little bit different. We're going 40-minute platform, and we're talking about really the stuff that matters. We're not really getting into the detail stuff. We're talking about the big stories, the stuff that people want to talk about. Hey, so let's get right into it. And I'll be honest, as a guy who's a big fan of his, I might not be the first person that wants to talk about it this morning, but let's do it, man. Let's get into the biggest storyline. LeBron and the Cavs, they fall down 2-1 last night. They now trail the Indiana Pacers going into Game 4. Your thoughts?
I think that there is a new curse, and we're going to call this the curse of the suits. Last night, and I'm sure you saw this, as he purchased 15, and they were, $3,000 suits for each of his teammates, including he got one size for Isaiah Thomas before he got traded. Isaiah let that known last night. But the curse of the suits, I'm going to be interested to see what happens, because, last night was not a good showing. They came out strong, but not a good showing for your Cleveland Cavaliers. I genuinely think, and you're not going to like this, but there may be trouble in paradise. If you remember right, my initial call was Cleveland in 6.
Okay.
I don't know that that's the case anymore. What was your original call? I can't remember.
Yeah, I had the Cavs sweeping.
Sweeping, yeah.
Cavs sweeping.
They're not going to sweep.
Okay, so where do you see this series going?
7. I see it going 7, and I'm not sure on the outcome yet. Because look at Game 2. Look what LeBron did.
Yeah. He
can go out, and I'm still a believer that he can go out and win any given game.
Right.
But it's just going to be hard.
It will be hard.
He's going to have his best performance after his best performance after his best performance.
Here's what I saw last night. I saw a first half by the Cleveland Cavaliers where I thought, these guys are going back to the finals. I don't know if you watched the game, but the first half was so impressive that I thought, they're going to run away with this one. They're going to run away with the next one. They're going to close it out in Cleveland, Game 5. But, man, I then realized that suddenly, the third quarter, the Cavs found themselves too comfortable, man. They got too comfortable. They did, and they turning it over. They're turning it over. LeBron's not hitting shots all of a sudden. Next thing you know, and let's be honest, man, come on, Bogdanović, he's going to spray him from 3 like that, just straight water guns, just repeatedly. That's not going to happen
11
again.
for 15.
Yeah, okay, that's not going to happen again. How many threes?
He went 7 for 9.
Incredible. That's not going to happen again. That was unfortunate for Cleveland, okay? But they got too comfortable, and this is a good Indiana team that's young and plays hard and has a lot of pieces. I agree with you. This. I want to say Cleveland could win the next 3. I'm afraid we're looking at a 7-game series, but I will say this. I want to look at pros and cons for this for Cleveland. Okay, so pros, they have an opportunity to get some more time on the court together. They're going to be playing these extra games. They're going to have to come together earlier, than these later rounds in the playoffs. They're going to have to come together in this first round. Okay, now if they figure it out, that's going to be a good thing. But the negative side, the con of that, that's more wear and tear on LeBron's body early in these playoffs. That's where I see it being a negative. But ultimately, listen, the way Cleveland looked last night in the first half, if they can stitch that together and implement it over a 4-quarter game, they're going to be fine. But boy, did they got too comfortable, and Indiana smacked them when they least expected it.
Well, let's not sit here and pretend that Indiana had a great game. When Oladipo won't go for less than 20 in another playoff game. He did that last night. Then you have 2 other starters coming in at 3 points and 8 points. That's not going to happen either. Darren Collison and Miles Turner. Miles Turner had 8. He went 4 for 11. That's not going to happen again. Look, their bench was so productive, not very productive. This has an opportunity to go 7 and be a hard 7. They play to each other's weaknesses so well. So well. And let's not pretend that both teams are deep either. This is going to be a star-studded next few games. Both teams' benches, you don't have anybody really with the capability of going off and grabbing 20 points. You're going to have a few people who hit maybe around 10. Then you have a few people with the goose egg. But this last night, neither team played well, and I think we saw a lot because we're going to have to go in these next few games, and it's going to be a star-studded. Your starters are going to play out. Your big names are going to play out, I believe, these next few. I don't think we're going to have another game quite like it. I mean, Cleveland only had one person in the 20s, even though they did have Kevin Love at 19. That's not going to happen again either.
They've had a horrible second half.
Yes, that's just not going to happen either. The Cavaliers had a starter with 0 points. He played 20 minutes. That's not going to happen either. Last night, outside of, and I'm going to mess up this name, outside of Bogdanovich, they are not getting. No one's going to play like last night again.
Well, here's my thing. And did you watch the game last night?
I did not.
Okay. Well, here's what's going on with Victor Oladipo. The Cavs are literally sending a double team at him every time he has the ball. Any pick, it's a double. If he's going to try to isolate, they're sending a second man. He struggled with that last night. He did, and he had some success with it early on in Game 2. Game 3, it was a problem. So they're going to make adjustments to that. We'll see how he adjusts to it. Bogdanovich was the difference. I mean, Cleveland was terribly cold in the second. Cleveland, you watch that game in the first half, you're like, oh, yeah, these guys are legit. Second half, oh, my, everyone was kind of, you said, not very good game by everyone, but Bogdanovich was the difference. He absolutely sprayed them. So Game 4, hey, look, must win for the Cavs. If you go down 3-1, I mean, we know he's done it before, but with this team, it's different. You don't have Kyrie, it's going to be tough. This is an absolute must game. We're going to see another 40-point performance by LeBron in Game 4 tomorrow.
So, who's been, and I know this, and I'm going to set you up, who's been guarding LeBron the best in the series?
Well, you know what's crazy? Bogdanovich guarded him last night.
Yes. This series, when Bogdanovich is guarding LeBron, he is shooting 24%. When anybody else is guarding him, the whole rest of the team, he's shooting, I want to say his upper 40, I want to say it was about 46%. So, that's another crazy storyline. The defense of Bogdanovich.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I hear what you're saying, you know, the best percentages. I don't know if that's on jump shots or what that's on. I mean, LeBron's still driving around him, spinning off of him, but he's definitely doing a better job on LeBron than Lance Stevenson is. Lance Stevenson's struggling on him.
He is.
But Bogdanovich is really getting after it.
Man, Lance Stevenson, I thought we were going to have some beef again. I thought we were going to have some, and we've had a few stare downs, but we haven't had any real beef.
Yeah, a lot of stare downs. Even last night, Stevenson got checked out one time. LeBron followed him all the way to the bench and was kind of staring him down. I thought something was going to come of that. Not much changed. But, you know, props to Indiana. Oh, my goodness. They are making it hard on the King and the Cavs. Moving on to the next segment here, Rhett. And we talked about this last week, but we're going to keep talking about it because it's what people want to talk about. It's one of the most interesting things to think about moving forward into this summer. Rhett, Richie, where's LeBron James going to play next season? Philly, okay.
I don't know that me and you talked about this full out, but he's going to Philly.
Okay, that's interesting. That's where I have him going as well. Let me hear what you got.
He's afraid of the West. Where else is he going to go? And I know you're going to disagree with that, and you're going to say, oh, the East has been down for so long because LeBron's been there and no one's moved there. That's not true. The East is easy. He cannot compete unless he goes to one of those power teams, the same team you may have crucified Kevin Durant for going for, or for Houston. If he may go to one of those power teams so he can be on top of the West. But then we're all going to get mad at him again the same way he went to Miami.
It's the same
he doesn't want that. He's going to go to Philly because they have a max contract spot. And in his aging, I think he's done taking some hometown discounts. I think he's going to go get his money. Then, Philly, man, they are up and coming, and I'm sure we're going to get to that series here in a little bit. They are up and coming. They look good, and they're one player from being better than one of those Western Conference teams.
Agreed. Let me bounce this off real quick before I get into what you just said. Imagine if LeBron and Kawhi decided, hey, let's take a pay cut, let's go to Philly together. Or LeBron and Paul George. Paul George is more plausible. Kawhi's kind of tied up. It would have to be a trade. But imagine if LeBron and Paul George did that. Come on.
See, and I'm going to push back. That's building that team that we don't want to see LeBron do. We want to see LeBron. I don't think this is necessarily building a team yet. We want to see LeBron go be the leader by far and take a team to go do that.
Go to a team that's already established. Just join them.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think we want to build again. I don't think we want that drama and that dilemma around LeBron the way he bulled Chris Bosh to go to Miami. With Philadelphia, I think they're still so young, and while we see some stars in the making, that's not joining powers necessarily. That's bringing in a veteran leader who can go and do something about it.
Okay, well, that's interesting. We were talking about powers. You know what's going to make this whole thing tricky with Philly? I mean, if Philly goes to the finals, it's all of a sudden that same narrative that we're going to kill him for. So it's going to be very interesting how this playoffs play out. If Philly beats Cleveland in the playoffs, LeBron's not going to want to go to the team that beat him. He can't beat him, join him. That's what we told KD. So how Philly ends up in these playoffs is going to kind of write the story as we go, I think, because LeBron is very, very aware of all of these things that we are talking about because he cares. He does. And so that's what I think is an interesting thing.
I think he may care, but I think his decision was made long, long ago.
I don't think he knows yet.
You don't think he knows?
I don't think he knows yet.
I think he knows.
I just don't think there's any way.
Because all these reports come out, someone close from LeBron's group of people says something, and all of a sudden LeBron goes, "Oh, no, that wasn't said." That fool us once. Okay. Fool us 2, 3, 4 times all of a sudden now. There's some truth behind this. I think LeBron knows. And I think it's just up to us to speculate.
I don't think he knows yet. I think if they get that 3-peat in Miami, I don't think he leaves. I think he stays in Miami and they run it back. I think it's kind of decided after. I think he has 3 or 4 very strong ideas in his head. And I'll tell you what those are. I think Los Angeles Lakers are still at the top of his list. I think he's considering Philly now. Houston has to be up there. But other than that, I don't really see another landing spot for LeBron making sense of this.
You're missing an obvious one.
Okay, tell me.
The Spurs.
Okay, how?
The Spurs have the money. The Spurs have the coach. They have the foundation. And they're one player away from competing again.
So LeBron's going to go play with Kawhi in that scenario.
In that scenario, I think that's much more likely than Kawhi going to Philly.
I think what's more likely... Okay, I think what the most likely thing is, Kawhi's about to get traded. I don't know if you've heard about all that crazy stuff going on.
I have, but last I heard, I saw a report from Pop that said they weren't getting rid of him.
Well... They need to figure out what's going on over there. I think the Spurs, if they're on that list, they're at the bottom. I was on the Spurs list probably last December, and I was like, okay, yeah, I can do that. LeBron loves Pop. But I think that likelihood has kind of sank down. You mentioned LeBron joining Powers probably about 4 minutes ago, and it sparked an idea in my head. And I wrote a column on this actually last July. I wrote about this, and I want to see what you think. Kevin Durant joining the Warriors the way that he did, okay, and them winning a title, and I think they're going to win the title again this year, okay. I mean, we can go back and forth about that later, but him doing that forever, at least in the near future, changed the culture of what the NBA is going to look like and the way decisions are going to be made in free agency. In the way that, hey, look, if LeBron goes to Philly, if LeBron goes to Houston. Look, we know why he's going there. There is this juggernaut, high-assault Golden State Warriors team that's not going to be taken down unless Kevin Durant's move is replicated somewhere. I think the culture has changed. And so I think if LeBron did go join a Houston, I think the flack that he would catch would be significantly less than what Kevin Durant got. Because of what we're seeing in the NBA, especially if the Warriors win the title again. Well,
let's push back to that. Kevin Durant's flack was nowhere near the amount of flack LeBron got when he left Cleveland to go to Miami.
Disagree.
He started the culture.
Who gave him flack besides the city of Cleveland?
The whole nation.
I don't think so.
Nobody wanted to see that. No. Everyone wanted to see him. He was this close to pulling it out in Cleveland.
He was close, but he wasn't going to get it done with that team they had there.
He was what? He had only been playing... How many seasons had he been with Cleveland before he left?
Listen, Rhett, you're starting an unnecessary narrative here. Kevin Durant joined a 73-win team that his team had down 3-1, and then they blew it and lost. And then he joined the team that beat him. It's completely different than LeBron just, hey, I'm going to go from Cleveland to Miami. There's really no correlations between the teams. Miami wasn't that good, so I'm going to go over there. Chris Bosh is going to cut. It's going to be fine. But listen, that's completely different. Do you understand what I'm saying? I think the culture's changed.
Would the culture be any different if they didn't have that great Western Conference Finals?
Yes.
So you solely base that Durant move off of that Western Conference Finals. If they didn't have that awesome back and forth,
the whole thing would be different to me.
The whole thing would be different.
Yes.
Okay.
If the Thunder say the Rockets made those West Finals and lost to the Warriors, okay, or the Spurs, the Thunder beat the Spurs in that playoff. Say it was the Spurs that lost, and the Thunder were sitting at home for a couple weeks before that, and then he goes and joins the Warriors. I think completely different about it. I think completely different about his move.
So that's the same reason you think if Philly beats out LeBron, he won't go.
Precisely. I think that will be a big deal. And I'll be honest, Rhett, I'm rooting for Miami a little bit. I don't want to see this kind of. I don't want to see LeBron get his choices kind of pointed out for him. I want him to have a wide array of choices come this July. So, yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Do you think there's any chance he stays in Cleveland
if they win the title? That's it.
That's it.
And so, do we? Think
What if they go to the finals?
No,
that's not good enough.
He's been in the finals every year since I've been a seventh grader.
Yeah, and he's lost a lot of those.
He's lost a lot of those, and so that's not enough anymore. And especially if it's Golden State. Listen, okay, we're going to talk about this in a little bit, but oh man, Golden State's still going to be hard to beat. Okay, and if they win the title again, everyone in the league's going to be looking around and like, okay, like yeah, the Rockets could be like, we had a good year, but we're just. Look, we're not in position to beat this juggernaut. We're not in position to beat this super team. People are going to start looking around and saying, what can we do to form something that can do better against these guys? Because they're going to be like, we hate these guys.
I don't want that NBA, though. I don't want that NBA where two teams are going to control it all, and then we're going to have the rest of the teams trying to tank to get that first pick. I don't want that.
Like the last 4 years?
I have not enjoyed this. I mean, used to be, which obviously Dirk Nowitzki, he's the last person to take a team to the finals and win with him. He was the buck. The buck stopped there. There wasn't a few All-Stars built around him that 2011 season. And I'm a big Mavericks fan, so I'm biased on that one.
Well, I hear what you said. What about the Warriors in 15 before KD joined them? That was like all drafted guys?
That was all drafted guys. But I've always had beef with Draymond Green, so I'm not going to like them no matter what.
That's fair.
This
podcast does not support Draymond Green.
Yes. Yeah, I've never been in his corner. I've never enjoyed him as a player. Never. I don't know. I think he is severely overrated, and we can talk about this maybe a little bit too. I think the way we rank the best players on that team is bad.
Give it to me.
The top four.
The Golden State Warriors.
Golden State Warriors. Number 1 is KD. That's been easy. Number 2 is obviously Klay Thompson. I think he is the second best player, and if he went out into the market right now, over Steph and over Draymond, he would have the most pull for him. He goes both ways better, maybe better than anybody in the league except for maybe Kawhi. He is a lockdown defender because he's always guarding their best player because we know Curry's going to go sit and hide in the corner with some jump shooter. Then he's going to wait for someone to double team somebody, then go strip the ball. That's the only way he ever has the defensive stat line. But Klay is the second best player on that team.
And then Steph and then Draymond?
Yes.
Okay.
And I even argue maybe a year or two ago that Iguodala over Draymond.
Okay.
And that may be biased too because I don't like him.
Here's the pushback with your putting Thompson ahead of Curry. I hear these coaches talk about Curry and the way that he affects the game. Okay. Obviously, he had that tremendous year where he won the unanimous MVP. The year before, LeBron could easily won it over him. The way that he changes the tempo of the game, and the way he shrinks the court, because he's dribbling the ball down the court, he passes the timeline. You got to check that, man. He's going to pull it and spray you. You know what? Him being on the court is so valuable for them. I just hear these coaches talk about it, and it's just it's unlike anything they've ever seen before, and he plays fast. Okay, and he speeds the tempo up. Great shooter. He's the best shooter ever. Klay Thompson. Okay,
he shoots the most ever.
Oh, yeah.
There's a difference between the greatest shooter ever and shoots the most ever.
Listen, I'm not the
You're right. We have never seen anything like this because any coach up until this point, if you pull up a 35-foot three, you're going to the bench. Make it or miss it, you're going to the bench. They had nothing for so long that they built that culture around him to where he can do whatever he wants. I guarantee if you got some of those other guys out there, you gave some of the other sharpshooters in the NBA free reign to do whatever, we'd see very similar statistics.
Okay. Well, you know how I feel about him, so I don't know how you were trying to make me advocate for Steph Curry on the show. Not one of my favorite things to do, but the numbers back it up. Okay, he's one of the best shooters ever, in my opinion.
One of the best. Okay.
Klay Thompson doesn't dribble that much at all. This man's a catch and spot up, straight drill. You just seen the other night? Holy smokes! But they're extremely different. Oranges and apples, really. Klay's a better two-way player. Klay will guard your best guy. Klay will guard LeBron, okay? Like, he'll do what he needs to do. Steph, they hide him on defense. He'll get a few steals from playing center field every now and then. But, yeah, I don't know. I would have Steph above him. KD's the best player in that team, though.
Yes.
No doubt. And he showed it last finals.
What happens if KD's not on that team this year? Are they beatable?
Yeah. I think Houston would have a much better time trying to defeat them in the West Finals.
Because he's the matchup problem. Who's Houston going to put on him?
Okay, let's get
Capella?
Okay, let's get into this. Who's Capella going to guard?
Who's going to guard Durant from that Houston Rockets team?
Trevor Ariza. Trevor Ariza is going to guard him.
He's undersized.
But everyone on the Spurs is undersized too, and they're trying their best. Okay. So Stephen Curry's not playing right now, Rhett. He's hurt. He's banged up his knee. Yes. So he's set to come back next series. Looks like they're going to play the Pelicans. Big shout out to the Pelicans, really handling the Portland Trailblazers.
As a Dallas fan, no shout out will be rewarded because of Rajon Rondo.
I see. Okay.
And the way he just quit on the Mavericks. But he is a completely different beast than anything maybe we've ever seen from Rondo these past 3 games.
Playoff Rondo. Okay, my point is this. If Curry comes back and is even, a glimpse of what he's been, because the Warriors look great right now against Spurs, but obviously Spurs don't have Kawhi. If he's a glimpse of what he's been, and the Rockets are, they just mashed on the Timberwolves by 20 the other night, who's going to win this series, Rhett, when they meet in the Western Conference Finals? What's going to happen in this series?
I don't know. I do not know. The consistency that has come out of Houston is, I don't think, something any of us expected. With the injuries they've gone to, because Harden's missed some time, Chris Paul's missed some time, and Capella's missed some time. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to elevate Capella up there to kind of, maybe not that superstar status, but he is a star in this league this year. Mm-hmm. When all three of them are out there and they're going strong, they're a good team.
No doubt.
They're a real good team.
You want me to tell you about the things that pop into my mind at first when I start thinking about this potential series?
Go for it.
Okay, first, the thing that comes in my mind, and I'm thinking on the basis of, okay, what's going to benefit Golden State? This is what I think of. One, Chris Paul has never played on that stage before. This man has never been to a Western Conference Finals, which is astounding in its own regard. Number two, James Harden's performance last season in the playoffs when they lost to the Spurs in the Western semis. He folded. He kind of collapsed, and he didn't have a good game. In a closeout game, I think he had like 4 shots made, 10 points total, some free throws. Okay? And the Warriors have been there before. Listen, they're going to go to the finals. What is it going to be, the 4th straight year? These guys know what they're doing on that stage. This will be the Rockets, for most of them, their first rodeo there. They were there a couple years ago, but they got nailed in 5. So the Warriors' experience is going to be very valuable in this series. And listen, the Warriors are built better than them. The Rockets have exceeded all expectations this year and shoot the air out of the ball. But the Warriors are better built than them.
Who's Curry going to guard?
Yeah, they're going to hide him.
Because that's that situation again. Because normally Curry just guards the 2 guard, and that's where they hide him. Mm-hmm. He's not going to guard the 2 guard in this series.
Well, he's not going to guard Harden.
He's not going to guard Harden. So are you going to put him on Paul?
No.
That takes Curry completely out because Chris Paul is a great defender. Yeah. That's a matchup where typically your point guard's not the best defender. So Curry kind of has his way because you're still going to put your point guard out on Curry. Chris Paul?
Well,
that's a great matchup up there, and it's going to come down to, I think, a lot of what Durant can do. Because you've got this mix between Chris Paul and Harden, then you also have on the other side Curry and Thompson, and they're going to, I don't want to say cancel each other out, because I think Harden's going to elevate above kind of the rest of those three.
I like it.
But what's going to happen outside of that, I think, is your X factor for the series.
I think we're going to... Well, here's my thing. I hear what you're saying. Expose Curry. We've seen Cleveland do it every year in the finals. They pick and roll until Curry's on whoever they want to, and then they drive him.
They'll do 6 or 7 pick and rolls till they get it.
It's wonderful. Houston doesn't play like that. I mean, they could play like that, but they're going to put Curry on whoever's in the corner because they just spot up Harden. Hey, Harden, come get the ball. ISO, everyone set your feet. Get ready to shoot. I'm going to beat my man. I'm going to score. If someone collapses, we're hitting the open guy.
Or screen and roll because Harden may run the screen and roll better than anybody else.
And Capella's good at it. And so, yeah, I don't know. That's a great point to think about. And KD kind of is the X factor if you want to do 2 and 2 and there's one left and it happens to be the best scorer on the planet and Durant. Okay. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting. But listen, the one thing we need to realize is Houston defends really well, too. And Capella does guard the basket. And we've seen Golden State be able to defend really well. They've kind of coasted this year. Like I said, 4th straight year in the finals. You're going to kind of coast and get tired and, do what you got to do. But they're going to turn it on. When the time is right, they're going to turn it on. Curry's back. They're going to turn it on. I don't know. At this point, I don't see Houston beating them. And I'll be honest, in 3 weeks, I see some things in Houston and Golden State that make me want to change my opinion. I'll change it. But at this point, I think the Warriors are going to get to the finals.
I don't know what I want to say yet. I want to say Houston. I really do. That's why when you asked, I just don't know. Houston has the talent. I think Houston has the coaching advantage. I think Houston has almost everything. They have home court, which may end up being a big part of that series.
That's a good point.
That's not going to be a quick series. I don't care what anybody says. There's no 4 or 5 game series coming out of that. I think that matters. Look, at the end of the day, the Rockets are good. The Warriors are good. Warriors have been there, Rockets haven't. What happens, because these are businessmen at the end of the day as well. And while we're not talking about like if the 76ers decide to make a run and like their best player has only been in the league 3 years, only played 1,
right?
Like this is, I mean, these 2 guys have been around for a while. They you know what, they may not have made it to that finals and they may not have made it to that conference finals. They've had some playoff runs. At the end of the day, this is business. I don't think that's going to matter. But that may play a hand. I mean, we're still a long way away from that, though.
The Rockets' motivation to get it done for the first time will be a benefit to them. The motivation to knock off the beast that's done it and done it again, and for the Rockets to have the opportunity to do it their first time. But at the end of the day, this is how I see it very quickly. The Rockets have Paul. The Rockets have Harden. Okay? And then the Warriors have Curry, and the Warriors have Klay Thompson. Oh, and they have the best defensive player in Draymond Green, and they have Kevin Durant. They're just built better. They just have more pieces, and they're going to have more pieces until another team is established and created.
Or until they get greedy. Because they're, some of them haven't had a payday in quite some time. And,
Well, Klay said he's staying. It'd be Klay's first option to bounce this summer. Yeah, I'm staying.
That won't happen for forever. He may sign another contract, and we may see another few more years of this. That squad, they aren't getting paid well. And I get it. Curry can take a pay cut, which he hasn't. Curry should take a pay cut because he's making the most off the court. Every time you turn the television on, but if you watch for more than an hour, you're going to see, especially on a sports channel, you're going to see Curry doing something. But what? Klay Thompson does muscle milk every once in a while or drink milk? I haven't seen a single Draymond endorsement. KD is a Nike guy. He can probably afford a pay cut. But at the end of the day, just like I said about the Houston Rockets, it's business. And at the end of the day, I want to have a nice fat chunk to go sit on some beach somewhere for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I hope you're right. I hope they just implode.
I can't wait.
Hey, so the Bucks and the Celtics have been a fun series to watch so far. The first game was awesome. Went to overtime. Had like 2 last-second shots to get us to overtime.
A 35-foot jump shot, almost to half court at the time, or at the coach's box line. With
0.5 seconds left is when he caught it and shot it. So that one went to overtime. Celtics pull it out. Celtics pull game 2 out. But last night, Rhett, Milwaukee Bucks go home and they just absolutely throttle the Celtics in game 2. So this series is very interesting to me. Obviously, the Celtics are injury absorbed right now, just completely falling apart, but they're still competing. But Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Bucks, I have them winning this series. What about you?
I mean, they're down 2-1. Let's not go ahead and say they're going to win the series because they won a game.
Well, the next game's at home. They just won their first game at home. They're going to go 2-2, and then we're going back to Boston and see what happens.
I'll say this: the Celtics don't care. They once Kyrie went down, they realized this wasn't their year. Once that happened, because you remember some of the timeline, the storyline coming throughout the NBA season that Gordon Hayward was gonna maybe make a playoff appearance.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, the day after Kyrie has that surgery, they say he's out for the season. Like they're not bringing him back without. If they thought they had a real shot, they would. They're not bringing him back.
Well, you know what
for obvious reasons. Why would you bring him back? They're not going to make a run.
Well, you know what they're doing a great job of doing right now is developing Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Those guys are getting better, and that's what these injuries have. They obviously didn't want these injuries, but these injuries have given the opportunity to develop 2 really good young players. If you want to count Terry Rozier in there too, he's developing too.
I mean, Rozier, he had a great game 1. Okay.
Did you see Eric Bledsoe say, "Who's that"?
I said the same thing though, so I'm not gonna fault him.
You don't remember him?
Yes, I don't remember him. I mean, look, Rozier played 31 minutes last night. How many points do you think he had?
He probably had 11.
9. You're close.
That's close.
Yeah. I mean, that's not a star-studded performance to me. Now, let's look at Tatum. Tatum played 27 minutes, 14. All right. Jaylen Brown played 29 minutes, 11 points.
Well, it was a bad game for the Celtics. How many did Giannis have?
Giannis had, he didn't have a great game either. He had 19.
Who's their leading scorer?
Their leading scorer was Chris Middleton. Wow.
He's good. No, people sleep on Chris Middleton.
I sleep on him. He had 23. Every player for the Bucks scored except for one. My former Maverick, Jason Terry.
The Jet.
He did not play. Coach's decision. Every single player scored. That's crazy, this stat line that I'm reading right now. I mean, 19, 23, 2, 17, 5, 17, 14, 2, 5, 3, 3, 6.
Everyone scored. I think the Milwaukee Bucks are going to win this series, but I think they need to be very careful about the way they go about it, because if they go to 7, it's going to be hard to win in the Garden. So I think 6, I think they kind of have to get it done from here on out.
Celtics healthy next year, have their 2 stars back. And we talking contender? Or
absolutely.
Not Eastern Conference weak contender. I'm talking can they go up against the Houstons in the Golden State?
Yes, because of the way Jason Tatum's developing. And also, we're going to see what happens. They have a lot of picks they can shop. They can shop Jason Tatum if they want to consider the Kawhi Leonard thing. They have a lot of room to maneuver. Hey, listen, we didn't even talk about that. Like Boston, what they're going to be next year is another reason why LeBron is looking around, shopping the market. Listen, he doesn't want to stay in Cleveland with that Boston team about to come at him. No, he needs to. He's going to move around and see what he can do to compete against it.
All right. What's it worth to a team to go get LeBron, though? We see what LeBron does to teams. He's pretty hard on teams. He expects a lot out of those guys. Not always the friendliest of guys. Kind of pushes people out.
I disagree. Jordan Clarkson just came from L.A., joined the Cavs. They said, what's it like having LeBron as a teammate? He's very encouraging. He's a cool leader. He motivates us. He's the guy you want to follow. What's it like having Kobe as a teammate? A lot more demanding. He said Kobe's a lot more demanding. Expects a lot out of you, not as friendly. So, I mean, listen, you can look at LeBron and maybe it looks like that on the court. But that's a beef. That's a hurt feeling, stepped on toes. Oh, Kyrie's mad. LeBron wanted to trade him for Paul George. That's a damaged relationship. That's a damaged relationship. We're going to hear negative things coming from.
Yes, because LeBron is acting as coach. LeBron is acting as GM. LeBron has too much power in the organization.
LeBron never wanted to trade Kyrie. Kyrie thought that it was a rumor. Someone said it. Kyrie thought it was true.
Then how easy would that be to squash? How easy would that be to squash?
They're cool. Did you not see him at the All-Star game?
They're cool. If they were cool, they'd be on the same team.
No, it's a bit. Oh, it's a business. He said, "Look, it's a business." It's a bit. Oh, come on, Rhett.
No, don't give me that. LeBron, yeah. So what? He buys you a $3,000 suit. So what? He likes to dance and practice or whatnot while Kobe's putting up extra shots. Yeah. Okay. LeBron is hard on teams. The next team he goes to will be his last. He'll come back to Cleveland and retire. 35. Oh, you think so?
He's 33.
Oh.
Dang. How in 2 years?
Well, he'd been in the league 15 years. He'd been in the league 15 years, right? And I put 20 and 35. Okay. He's 33. Mm-hmm. He's past his prime.
Disagree.
Oh.
His best offensive year ever. Come on.
Okay.
He's getting better at offense. I understand he's not the as dynamic, complete, full player, but his offensive game, it's only getting better. What is LeBron worth to a team, you ask, Rhett? How about going to the finals every year? Even if it means you don't win it every year, how about getting Cleveland their first championship in program history? How about going to Miami? Oh, Miami, what was it worth having LeBron come in for 4 years? Oh, how about 2 rings? Oh, that was pretty cool. What was it like drafting LeBron for the first time, Cleveland? Oh, how about taking one of the worst teams we've ever had to the finals? Come on, man. What's it worth? It's worth whatever it costs because he's the best asset in the league that you're going to go get.
You're going to get maybe 1 ring in the next 4 years out of him, and then what?
What are the other organizations doing besides the Warriors?
Tanking, and they're building cheap rosters. Look at some of these teams right now. This is the first time almost in history we've seen teams actually have to sign players at the end of the season because they didn't reach the salary cap minimum. Like, this is a different league than we've ever seen before. Okay. If you can't contend, you go cheap. 2 different conversations.
Are you suggesting to me that tanking is more, like, valuable than trying to get LeBron James on your team?
No. You're not hearing me say that because I think any team should sign LeBron. You just have to wait because... You know what? I take that back. Not every team should sign LeBron. If you're a young team and you're trying to rebuild and you've had a few, not like the 76ers because they've been doing this for a while. Like, I'll put my Dallas Mavericks in the situation. They are all of a sudden becoming an increasingly younger team. As one of the teams who's typically one of the oldest teams in the league, they are now becoming younger, coming and hopefully getting the 3rd pick. And I'll say this, I bet we're not going to be very good next year. Wink, wink. We're not. Yeah, we're not going to say it out loud, but we're not going to be very good next year. Even though our president of basketball operations, and Mark Cuban, said, "I think it's in our best interest to tank." We're not tanking, but the next year, all of a sudden, we're going to have a few stars. Mm-hmm. We're still not going to win a lot of games.
That's fine. Process.
That
showed it works.
You don't want to bring LeBron into that because I don't think LeBron can make any team a contender. I think he can make most teams, but I don't think LeBron going to somewhere like that makes them a contender.
The answer to that question we'll know in the next month and a half. Because listen, I would have argued LeBron can make any team a contender. We'll see what he does with this team. This team's hard to work with. They just got thrown in after the All-Star break.
But listen, he did that though. So
yeah, he was a part of it. Absolutely, IT was terrible in that locker room. Everything was a mess.
IT should still get his suit.
Hey, I think they used those materials to make another guy's suit, potentially. Those are $5,000 suits, by the way. You keep saying 3.
My bad.
Fine. No, it's fine. We only have a couple minutes left, Rhett. Let me have your finals prediction.
My finals prediction, I think we're going to see... You know what? I don't know out of the East. I'm going to go the same way with Tom Brady. You never pick you don't pick against Tom Brady till he loses.
Okay.
I think we're going to go LeBron.
Okay.
I'm going to push back. There's just been a weird vibe about as good as Houston been, they've been so under the radar. For as good as they've been, I think they've missed out on kind of a lot of things about this season. I'm going to say Houston. I'm going to say Houston. I think at the end of the day, Curry's going to get hurt again. He rolls his ankle about once every 3 or 4 games. And asking him to play that much on defense, he may potentially roll his ankle again.
You never know what'll happen.
Yeah.
And they've had extremely good injury luck the last 4 years. Every year they've been in the finals. Some injuries prior, but nothing like... I mean, you can talk about Bogey, but that's whatever. We can talk about that another time. Last question, Rhett, real quick. 15 seconds left. Who are the Cowboys going to take with their first pick in the draft? Or what position?
I think we got to go look on either wide receiver or defensive end. I think we have a solid defensive line, but I think defensive end may be a good thing. I'd like to see him rebuild a wide receiver crew, some young guys maybe, because we've signed some more on the offensive line. We're going to be a great running team again. Mm-hmm. That's going to relieve so much pressure off Dak. He's not Tony. He's not going to be Tony. He doesn't have the arm of Tony. But if we can get that run game going, he's going to have a productive season.
I like you, Rhett. This has been the Keegan Stewart Sports Podcast, 99.1 Chap Radio, KLCT, LP, Lubbock, Texas. Rhett, Richie, thank you for joining me, man.
Thank you so much for having me, man.
You bet. We're going to have to do it again before the finals or somewhere near that. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. Look for my channel on YouTube, Keegan Stewart. The podcast will be up on there. Also looking to get linked with Apple Podcasts soon. Thank you for listening. Everybody have a great day.